Hello, everyone. I'm excited to have you here today as we explore the fascinating topic of decoding the contradiction between words and body language. In this presentation, we'll dive into how understanding these discrepancies can greatly enhance the clarity and effectiveness of our communication, both in personal relationships and professional settings. Let's get started on unlocking the secrets behind what's said and what's truly meant. When we talk about contradictions in communication, we're really looking at the disconnect that can happen between what someone says and what their body language reveals. This gap often shows up in things like facial expressions, gestures, or even the way a person holds their posture. For example, someone might say they're confident, but their slouched shoulders or averted gaze tell a different story. Understanding these contradictions is key because our nonverbal signals play a huge role in how our message is received. If the words we speak don't match our body language, it can create confusion or lead to misunderstandings. People tend to trust what they see over what they hear, so if these signals clash, the true meaning can easily get lost or misinterpreted. By the end of this training, you'll be able to spot when someone's words don't quite match their body language. We'll explore how these discrepancies can impact the clarity and effectiveness of communication, both in professional settings and social interactions. You'll learn to analyze nonverbal cues and understand the emotions and intentions that might be hidden beneath the surface. This skill set will help you read body language more accurately, which can significantly enhance your interactions and performance at work. This training is especially valuable for managers, PR professionals, communication teams, and anyone who wants to build stronger, more insightful relationships. When we communicate, it's not just the words we say that matter. Our body language, things like facial expressions, hand gestures, posture, and even the tone in our voice, plays a huge role in conveying meaning. Sometimes what we say and what our body shows don't match up. This mismatch is what we call the contradiction between words and body language. It can create confusion because the listener picks up on these conflicting signals and isn't sure what to believe. For example, someone might say, "I'm fine," but if their face looks anxious or tense, it makes us question if they're really okay. Being able to recognize these contradictions is key to improving how we communicate and helps build trust by making interactions more genuine and clear. Understanding the contradiction between what people say and their body language is incredibly valuable. When words and nonverbal cues don't match, it often reveals hidden feelings or truths that aren't openly expressed. Especially in the workplace, this skill helps you detect if a colleague or client might be feeling anxious or uncertain, even if they don't say it outright. Research shows that over 70% of communication happens through body language, which highlights just how important it is to pay attention to these signals. By becoming skilled at reading these contradictions, you gain deeper insight into true emotions and motivations. This awareness not only improves your relationships at work, but also equips you to handle challenges and interactions more effectively. When we talk about body language, two essential elements really stand out. First, facial expressions. These are often the most immediate and genuine indicators of how someone is feeling. A smile can show warmth and friendliness, while a frown might reveal displeasure or confusion. These expressions give us quick insight into emotions without a single word being spoken. Then there are hand movements. These can be much more subtle but just as telling. For example, fidgeting might suggest nervousness or discomfort, while resting a hand on the chin often signals that a person is deep in thought or maybe even feeling anxious. Together, facial expressions and hand movements create a complex and powerful way of communicating that goes beyond verbal language. When we talk about contradictions between words and body language, they can show up in different ways, each affecting how we understand the message. The first type is complete contradiction. This happens when what someone says is directly at odds with their body language. For example, if someone says, "I am happy," but their smile looks forced or they don't smile at all, it makes us question if they're really happy. Then there's partial contradiction, which is more subtle. Imagine a person saying something positive, but their tone is low or hesitant. That mismatch can confuse us about their true feelings. Lastly, we have contradictions that occur because of timing, when the body language doesn't sync with the words. This lack of harmony can signal that the message isn't entirely genuine. Understanding these types helps us interpret messages more accurately and respond appropriately. Sometimes, the reason why someone's words and body language don't match comes down to psychological pressures they're facing. In everyday situations or formal settings, People often feel the need to hide their true emotions, like anger or sadness, to appear calm or professional. While they might say one thing, their facial expressions or hand gestures can reveal what they're really feeling inside. In many cases, the person isn't even aware of these body signals because they're driven by unconscious emotions. Interestingly, this makes body language often more trustworthy than words. By understanding these psychological reasons behind such contradictions, we become more attuned to others' hidden feelings, enabling us to respond with greater empathy and insight. To detect contradictions between words and body language, it's important to engage in multidimensional observation. This means looking beyond just the spoken words and paying attention to the various layers of communication, including gestures and facial expressions. One key area to focus on is subtle facial movements and unconscious hand gestures, as these often reveal emotions or intentions that don't match what's being said verbally. Next, tone of voice plays a crucial role. Even small shifts in pitch, speed, or volume can indicate a disconnect between the words and the speaker's true feelings. Alongside this, physical indicators like fidgeting or creating distance can serve as red flags, something to watch for when someone's body language contradicts their spoken assurances, such as saying, "I'm comfortable," while showing signs of discomfort. Finally, developing this skill takes practice. By consistently observing people in everyday interactions, we can sharpen our awareness and become more adept at spotting these contradictions, making our communication more accurate and insightful. When we talk about contradictions in communication, context plays a crucial role in shaping how we interpret them. For example, words and body language might seem to be sending mixed signals, but understanding the situation around those signals helps us make sense of what's really being communicated. The social setting is especially important. Whether you're at a casual gathering with friends or in a formal business meeting, the same words or gestures can take on very different meanings. Take a smile, for instance. In a social context, it usually signals warmth and friendliness, but in a professional environment, that same smile might be used to cover up tension or ease the mood. By paying attention to context, we gain deeper insight into interactions and can better pinpoint when verbal and nonverbal cues don't quite align. Ignoring context, on the other hand, often leads to misinterpretations and confusion. So, keeping context in mind is key to clear and effective communication. When addressing contradictions in communication, the first step is to recognize them. This means paying close attention to inconsistencies between what someone says and their body language, as these mismatches can easily lead to misunderstandings if we don't acknowledge them. Next, it's important to exercise caution. Rather than jumping to conclusions, we should take the time to carefully analyze the situation, which helps preserve trust and ensures we don't misinterpret their intentions. Encouraging open discussion plays a crucial role as well. By asking open-ended questions, we invite the other person to share more deeply and honestly, which can clarify any confusion. Alongside this, engaging through active listening is vital. This means not just hearing the words, but also observing nonverbal signals to create a balanced and open dialogue. Finally, developing these skills through ongoing practice is key. The more we train ourselves to spot and thoughtfully respond to contradictions, the better we become at turning potential conflicts into opportunities for clearer and more effective communication. When there's a mismatch between what people say and their body language, it can really damage relationships at work. This kind of inconsistency often breeds mistrust among coworkers, making collaboration much harder. It's not just about interpersonal connections, though. Team spirit can take a hit too. When verbal messages don't align with nonverbal cues, misunderstandings and conflicts can arise, which ultimately reduce productivity. Take, for example, an employee who says they're happy with a project but their body language tells a different story, like showing tension or discomfort. This kind of contradiction can signal underlying frustration that might go unnoticed unless there's honest communication. That's where managers play a crucial role. By being attuned to these discrepancies between words and body language, they can better understand what employees truly need and address any issues before they escalate. When managers handle this effectively, it helps build trust and stronger workplace relationships. And when trust and communication improve, collaboration flourishes. This positive dynamic doesn't just benefit individuals, it enhances the overall performance of the entire organization. So, paying attention to the harmony between our verbal and nonverbal communication can have a powerful impact on workplace success. When trying to spot contradictions between what someone says and their body language, the first step is to observe their facial expressions closely. Faces can reveal a lot. Sometimes someone might say they're fine, but their expression tells a different story, hinting at emotions they're not voicing out loud. Next, pay attention to hand movements. Gestures and hand motions can give away feelings that don't match the words being spoken. For example, if someone says they're confident but their hands are fidgeting nervously, that inconsistency can be a major clue. The third step is to look at body orientation. How someone positions themselves, their posture, and how close or distant they stand can contradict what they say about feeling comfortable or confident. Body language here often reveals more than words. Finally, listen carefully to the tone of voice. Sometimes the way something is said, the pitch or pace, can contradict the actual words. Tone can help us understand the real emotions behind the message, shedding light on the true intent beneath the surface. When we talk about understanding contradictions between what someone says and their nonverbal cues, context plays a huge role. The same expression or gesture can mean different things depending on the situation, which is why we can't interpret communication in isolation. The environment where communication happens also changes how messages are perceived. Whether we're in a casual social setting or a formal professional one, the surrounding context shapes our interpretation and can make a big difference in how we understand what's being conveyed. Timing is another crucial factor. When something is said or done can completely alter its meaning. The timing adds an extra layer that helps us resolve any contradictions between words and body language, making the overall message clearer. Finally, paying close attention to context is essential for accurate understanding. Being mindful of these situational details deepens our ability to interpret messages correctly, avoiding misunderstandings that might arise from focusing only on isolated cues. When we encounter contradictions in communication, the first step is to identify them. This means noticing when what someone says doesn't quite match their body language or tone. Those discrepancies between verbal and nonverbal cues are often where the real message hides. Next, it's important to approach these contradictions with curiosity rather than judgment. By asking open-ended questions, we invite the other person to share more and clarify their feelings or thoughts, which helps us understand the conflicting signals better. At the same time, practicing active listening plays a key role. This involves fully focusing on their words while also being mindful of the emotions that lie beneath, so we don't just hear the message but feel its deeper meaning. Finally, carefully observing body language is crucial. Small gestures, facial expressions, and posture can reveal a lot, giving us a more complete picture of what's really being communicated beyond the words alone. Together, these steps help us address contradictions thoughtfully and improve the clarity and effectiveness of our communication. Consistency between what we say and how we say it is essential in creating a positive work environment. When our words match our body language, it builds trust and clarity. However, when these signals contradict each other, it can cause confusion, mistrust, and even lower productivity. Being attentive to body language allows us to spot when someone might be frustrated or struggling, giving us a chance to offer support or open up important conversations. By addressing these inconsistencies in communication, we can strengthen team dynamics, encouraging greater commitment and collaboration among colleagues. Contradictions between what someone says and how they act can have a big impact on trust in personal relationships. For example, if someone says, "I'm listening to you," but their body language shows impatience or discomfort, the message we actually receive is very different from their words. This mismatch can shake our confidence in their sincerity. Recognizing these contradictions offers us a unique chance to understand emotions that aren't explicitly expressed. Often, the unspoken feelings or lingering doubts are revealed through these inconsistencies, giving us a deeper insight into what's really going on beneath the surface. By tuning into these signals, we can build healthier, more authentic connections. When we grasp what someone might truly be feeling, we can respond in ways that reflect genuine understanding and care, rather than just relying on words alone. Being attentive to both verbal and nonverbal cues not only helps us respond more appropriately, but also fosters mutual respect and openness. This level of attentiveness creates a space where honesty and trust can thrive. Ultimately, awareness of how body language complements spoken words is crucial in all our social interactions. Developing this skill is key to nurturing sincerity and trust, which are the foundations of strong, successful relationships. When it comes to negotiations, paying close attention to nonverbal cues like avoiding eye contact or fidgeting can be very telling. Even if someone's words seem calm and composed, these subtle signs often reveal underlying discomfort or hesitation. In job interviews, this skill becomes crucial as well. Hiring managers benefit from noticing whether a candidate's body language matches what they say. Any mismatch might suggest a lack of confidence or even dishonesty. Beyond formal settings, being aware of contradictions between what people say and how they act enhances everyday communication. This heightened sensitivity helps us make better decisions and connect more effectively, whether at work or in our personal lives. Recognizing these subtle signals allows us to improve our judgment by picking up on what's often overlooked. Overall, applying this knowledge empowers us to engage more effectively and respond with greater clarity in a variety of situations. Culture plays a crucial role in how we interpret nonverbal communication. What might be seen as a friendly gesture in one culture could be misunderstood in another because cultural backgrounds shape the meaning behind our body language. For example, direct eye contact is often viewed in many Western cultures as a sign of confidence and honesty. However, in some Middle Eastern or Asian cultures, maintaining prolonged eye contact can be considered confrontational or even disrespectful. For professionals working in multicultural environments, understanding these differences is essential. When we take the time to consider the cultural context of our communication partners, we reduce the risk of misinterpretations that arise from contradictions between what is said and what the body language conveys. Being culturally sensitive benefits communication overall by fostering respect and clarity. When people feel respected, conflicts and confusion are minimized, creating a more positive atmosphere. Ultimately, cultural awareness isn't just about avoiding misunderstandings, it enhances our interpersonal effectiveness, helping us build stronger, more harmonious relationships across diverse settings. When it comes to reading nonverbal contradictions, the first challenge is recognizing just how complex this process can be. Interpreting when someone's body language conflicts with their verbal statements is tricky and often prone to mistakes. For example, a nervous gesture like touching the face or shifting posture might catch our attention, but it doesn't always mean rejection or evasion. Sometimes, it simply reflects temporary stress or discomfort that has nothing to do with what's being discussed. That's why it's so important to look beyond isolated behaviors and consider the wider context. Drawing conclusions from just one or two moments can easily lead to misunderstandings. Instead, we need a methodical approach, observing patterns over time and correlating these with the surrounding circumstances. And finally, patience plays a vital role here. Staying calm and taking the time to carefully distinguish genuine signals from misleading or incidental behaviors makes all the difference in accurate interpretation. When it comes to understanding contradictory body language, there are several valuable tools and techniques we can use. First, video recording systems like surveillance cameras play a crucial role. They let us capture interactions so we can analyze them in detail later, revealing subtle cues that are often missed during real-time observation. Next, artificial intelligence is becoming a powerful aid in interpreting facial expressions. AI can detect microexpressions, those brief, involuntary facial movements, that often reveal true emotions beneath the surface, improving our accuracy in reading people's feelings. Another effective approach is self-training. By observing our own body language in mirrors or practicing with colleagues, we develop greater mindfulness and become more attuned to nonverbal signals, both in ourselves and others. Finally, when these tools and techniques are applied consistently, they lead to clearer communication and better understanding. This consistent practice helps us handle complex interpersonal situations with greater ease and insight. Apple faced challenges with internal communication because what employees actually didn't always match the official messages being shared. This gap created confusion and weakened trust among teams. To address this, Apple introduced body language training to help managers and staff better recognize and interpret nonverbal signals. The goal was to ensure what people said aligned more closely with how they truly felt. By taking these steps, Apple fostered a more authentic workplace culture, which in turn built stronger trust between employees and management. Analyzing nonverbal communication provided valuable insights that might otherwise have been overlooked, underscoring the importance of these nonverbal cues. Overall, investing in these communication awareness programs led to greater organizational coherence and helped resolve existing contradictions effectively. Apple encountered a significant challenge with internal communication. While management consistently communicated that everything was running smoothly, the body language and nonverbal signals from employees told a very different story, one of skepticism and concern. This mismatch raised red flags about the true state of affairs within the company. Our observation and analysis revealed a clear contradiction. Verbal reassurances from leadership didn't align with what employees were actually expressing through their nonverbal cues. This gap highlighted underlying tensions that weren't being openly discussed or addressed during regular communication. To tackle this issue, Apple introduced comprehensive training programs focused specifically on nonverbal communication. These sessions were designed for both managers and employees to help them better understand and interpret nonverbal signals, creating a more transparent and honest dialogue within teams. As a result of these targeted efforts, trust within the organization improved significantly. Misunderstandings decreased, and the culture became one where communication was more open and authentic. This case clearly demonstrates how addressing communication gaps, especially through nonverbal channels, can lead to positive organizational change. Coca-Cola, as a globally recognized brand, faced significant challenges in their marketing and communication efforts. One of the key issues was the inconsistency between what executives said and the nonverbal signals they displayed during important meetings and projects. Essentially, while their words projected confidence, their body language often revealed stress or hesitation, creating a disconnect that raised concerns. To tackle this problem, Coca-Cola conducted thorough analyses to understand these contradictions more deeply. They then introduced specialized training programs designed to help executives align their verbal messages with their nonverbal cues. This alignment was crucial in ensuring that their communication was both clear and consistent. Ultimately, this strategy played a vital role in preserving Coca-Cola's brand reputation. By fostering more transparent internal and external messaging, they were able to maintain trust among stakeholders and protect the integrity of their brand image. To improve communication when contradictions arise, the first step is to develop strong observation skills. This means becoming more intentional about noticing and interpreting nonverbal cues like gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice. These subtle signals often carry important meaning that supports or contradicts what's being said verbally. Next, practicing strategic questioning can make a big difference. Instead of jumping to conclusions or assumptions, asking thoughtful questions helps clarify intentions and meanings. This approach encourages a more open dialogue and reduces misunderstandings by guiding conversations toward clearer communication. Another crucial recommendation is to foster psychological safety. When people feel safe and trusted, they are more likely to speak honestly and openly. This kind of environment reduces guarded behaviors and decreases the chances of mixed or conflicting messages. Training on self-awareness is also key. Helping individuals recognize their own communication styles and how their verbal and nonverbal messages may sometimes conflict enables them to express themselves more clearly and credibly. This training supports more consistent and effective communication overall. Finally, cultivating an effective communication culture within the organization is essential. By adopting strategies that build resilience against misunderstandings, especially those arising from nonverbal differences, we can strengthen team dynamics and promote better interpersonal understanding across the board. Together, these recommendations create a foundation for clearer, more trustworthy communication even amid contradictions. When we talk about using contradictions strategically in communication, it's important to understand that sometimes the mismatch between what is said and what body language shows is intentional. Skilled professionals might use these contradictions to hide their true feelings or influence how others perceive them, especially in social or negotiation settings. In sensitive situations, this approach can be particularly useful. By keeping a calm verbal tone while subtly signaling something different through body language, a person can manage delicate interactions more effectively. These small contradictions help build understanding and reduce the chances of conflict. Being able to recognize when contradictions are being used on purpose is crucial. It enables us to make sense of complicated conversations and respond appropriately, rather than being misled by surface-level cues. Improving our ability to detect and interpret these nuanced signals boosts our overall communication skills, which is especially important in areas like negotiations and public relations where subtlety is key. Finally, appreciating these strategic contradictions helps us preserve trust in relationships. When we understand what's really being communicated beneath the surface, we're better equipped to handle complex social dynamics and maintain strong, effective connections. When dealing with contradictions in communication, cultural diversity presents a significant challenge, especially because gestures can have very different meanings across cultures. For instance, a gesture that signifies respect in one culture might be interpreted negatively in another, which can easily lead to confusion or even offense. To navigate this complexity, it's crucial to build a deep understanding of various cultural norms and, when possible, seek guidance from local experts. This approach helps in accurately interpreting nonverbal cues and minimizing misunderstandings. Being well prepared in this way supports more effective and culturally sensitive communication, ensuring that messages are received in the intended spirit. Ultimately, developing cultural competence is essential for professionals working in global environments, as it fosters inclusivity and greatly reduces the risk of misinterpretation. When it comes to professional development, one of the most valuable areas to focus on is enhancing your nonverbal communication skills. This means regularly engaging in training to sharpen your ability to read body language and accurately interpret what people are really saying beyond their words. It's important to see this as an ongoing process. Continuously practicing and updating these skills will help you stay effective in your interactions. Next, adopting a growth-oriented mindset is key. Being mentally flexible and open to new ideas allows you to adapt as communication styles and cultural norms evolve. Embracing this openness will make you more resilient and effective in various professional settings. Using these improved communication skills, you can position yourself for real professional prowess. This means confidently navigating complex interpersonal situations and developing standout interpersonal skills that allow you to engage meaningfully no matter the environment. Finally, committing to lifelong learning is essential. Make it a regular habit to invest in your communication skills, staying adaptive and responsive to how communication continues to change. This ongoing commitment will ensure you remain relevant and effective throughout your career. When dealing with contradictions in communication, it's essential to hone a few key skills. First, pay close attention to body language, as it often reveals underlying feelings that words alone might not express. Instead of jumping to conclusions, approach situations with curiosity by asking thoughtful questions rather than making assumptions. Creating a safe environment where people feel comfortable expressing themselves honestly is also crucial, as this encourages real and meaningful interactions. Additionally, training teams to develop self-awareness and the ability to articulate their thoughts clearly and credibly helps build trust and significantly reduces conflicting messages. This combination not only improves understanding, but also fosters stronger, more effective communication overall. Sometimes, contradictions between what people say and how they express themselves non-verbally aren't accidental, they're intentional. Using these contradictions can be a way to manage how others perceive us, shaping impressions in subtle but powerful ways. In delicate or sensitive situations, this technique becomes even more important. Professionals who recognize when contradictions are being used can respond more thoughtfully and avoid misunderstandings. In negotiations, for example, people often mask their true feelings through these mixed signals, and being able to spot this gives you an edge by revealing what's really going on beneath the surface. Ultimately, understanding and interpreting these strategic contradictions helps us navigate complex communication more skillfully, sharpening our ability to pick up on the subtle cues that shape interactions. When working with culturally diverse audiences, interpreting contradictions becomes much more complex because different cultural backgrounds shape how messages are received and understood. For example, a gesture that is seen as respectful in one culture might be considered offensive or confusing in another. This highlights how important it is to have a solid cultural foundation. Knowing the context and norms helps us navigate these differences more effectively. Additionally, consulting with local experts is invaluable. They provide insights that prevent misunderstandings and guide us in communicating appropriately across cultural boundaries. Overall, being aware of these challenges and taking proactive steps makes a big difference in ensuring clear and respectful communication. As we wrap up, let's highlight some key recommendations for your professional future. First, continuous skills development is essential. Make it a priority to sharpen your ability to accurately read and interpret both body language and spoken words, as this will greatly enhance your communication effectiveness. Next, embrace a lifelong learning mindset. Think of this training not as a final step, but as the beginning of an ongoing journey toward improving yourself within your professional field. Finally, adaptability in communication is crucial. Stay mentally flexible and be ready to embrace new ideas and knowledge, because the way we communicate is always evolving. Keeping these points in mind will set you up for long-term success. For this training, we've drawn on a variety of reputable sources to ensure the information is both accurate and well-rounded. First, we reference research from top institutions like Harvard University, which lends strong academic credibility. We've also incorporated findings from peer-reviewed journals focused on psychology and behavioral science, providing valuable insights into human behavior. In addition, specialized texts play a key role, one important example being Joel Horowitz's book, Body Language: What Our Gestures Reveal, which helps us understand nonverbal communication in depth. We've included regional studies as well, particularly those examining behavioral patterns in the Middle East and North Africa, to give a broader perspective. Finally, it's important to note that there is a significant gap in research regarding practical applications in diverse workplace environments. This points to an opportunity for future studies and development in this field. I want to emphasize an important disclaimer regarding this training material. It's designed purely for educational purposes and shouldn't be taken as legally binding advice or a definitive psychological analysis. When applying what you've learned here, it's crucial to use professional judgment, always considering the specific context and respecting privacy and ethical guidelines. Keep in mind that the information reflects the current scholarly consensus and practical insights at the time it was put together, but it may change as new research and evidence become available. Thank you all for your time and attention. I appreciate the opportunity to share this information with you. If you have any questions or would like to discuss anything further, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.